Eriksson, and welcome to the new Scandinavian Echoes radio show podcast with me, your host, Jeanne Eriksson Widman Anderson. But I think I'll stick with just Jeanne Eriksson for this show. And I'm so glad that you have tuned in. This is the first show broadcasting from Long Island, New York. It's been 22 years since I did my last on-air program. But here we go. New Shervi. I'll be spinning some records that are old, some that are new. There'll be some interviews and news, and who knows what the future will bring. Now, I know some of you remember Scandinavian Echoes with Hans Berggren, but if you don't, I'd like to give you just a little bit of history before I play some music. Hans Berggren first aired Scandinavian Echoes in 1936, and he did it live on WEVD from Manhattan. Hans was born in Trondheim, Norway. He immigrated to Brooklyn. He worked as a longshoreman, a carpenter on the docks. But he loved his music, and he had a band. This radio station in New York City, WEVD, contacted him, asked him to consider doing a weekly radio show for the immigrants in the Sunset Park Bay Ridge community. Hans was on the air for 50 years every Saturday morning, and he spoke his own language. It was a real cross between Norwegian and English, and I'm sure you're thinking of his voice right now if you remember it. In 1986, after 50 years, he handed the show over to his loyal friend and fellow musician, Walter Eriksson, my father, who carried the show for another 5 years until the station was sold. My dad and I talked about getting the show back on the air and doing it together. Sadly, however, my dad became ill and he passed away in September 93. The station that I had contacted kept calling me, "Are you going to do the show? Are you going to do the show?" So I decided to literally face the music, and I took over Scandinavian Echoes from 1994 to 1998. Now, fast forward to 2020. Which was supposed to be the year of clear vision. Well, coronavirus, everything canceled, and a little bit of extra time to think about it. So here I am, and I'm very proud to launch the new Scandinavian Echoes podcast. So let's start off with Hans Berggren singing America Brevet, about a Norwegian immigrant sitting down to write a letter to America, to Norway, to his long-lost sweetheart, who he is missing. You know, I wonder if she ever came over on the Flekkefjord or the Stavangerfjord ocean liner. Never know. We'll never know that story. Anyway, take it away, Hans Berggren.
Hello, Oli. Er det you? Ja, du forstår, Oli, at du calling in the wrong time. Jeg har fått et brev fra en sweetheart I gamlelandet, you know. A love letter. And det brevet brings back memories of long ago. Yes? Oh, I better call you siden, Oli, så får vi prates ved. I'm going to write a love letter to a sweetheart in the old country. So long for so lenge, Oli. I'll call you back. Sure, I'll call you, Oli. So long. And now, min kjære Stina, skriver jeg et letters brev for å fortelle om hvor very vel det går. Du vet det så lenge siden jeg med pennen skrev, så jeg håper at du understand forstår. Mange lange år gått sinns dess jeg så det midnight sun, men jeg elsker deg enu, my darling friend. Selv at du meg bedro og skjemte ut deg med en hand, så vil jeg love deg inntil my bitter end. Jeg ble sorg da jeg hørte at din boyfriend han ble kilt, because at han ble skutt av en pistol. Han kom I fight med deg og når han gikk I land en kveld. Ja, sånn går det til I staden Liverpool. Jeg arber, og jeg eter, og jeg har det ganske bra. Og forresten jeg blevet very rik. For jeg maker ganske very vel med dollar til hver dag. Som første størmann på en drøtsj I Newton Creek. And now, min kjære Stina, når det gamle nå glemt, har jag tänkt att skriva hem till dig och be att du kom hit till mig, ja det var drömmen jag har drömt. Och förresten kan du ta din unge med. Då får du ha det till vi träffas och så väntar jag på brev. Ja, jag sänder min adress som du ser. Mr. Charlie P.V. Swanson 6015 Walk-on Drive, Long Island City, State of New York, USA.
Tusen tack, Hans Berggren. You with that friendly voice and friendly personality. You were the rock star of the time, for sure. Everybody knew Hans Berggren. You know, after the show, he would stop by and visit all of his sponsors, most of them located on 8th Avenue, known as Lopskaus Boulevard in Brooklyn. When he stopped by Olson's Bakery, he would always get the same apple cake and bring it to my family's house, where he'd sit and chew the fat with my father, Walt Eriksson, and have about 5 cups of coffee. I remember it clearly. Together, they produced records and shows together, events at Sons of Norway Hall on 8th Avenue and 60th Street with Hans as the MC and featured singer. On his radio program, he would read Nordiske Tidende, the Norwegian newspaper, in the middle of spinning records. And it was live, so anything could happen. You could hear the rustling of the newspaper. He'd lose his place. It was very natural. You'd hear the phone ring. It was an awesome radio show of the time. In the early 60s, I personally watched the houses being torn down right through the heart of the Scandinavian community, making way for the approach to the Verrazano Bridge. And Hans said that's what changed everything. People had to relocate, and a lot of them moved to Staten Island, New Jersey, or Long Island. It was a whole new world. Anyway, as far as the Scandinavian Echoes radio shows, some of the Walter Eriksson programs have been preserved, and all of my shows are intact. And guess what? They're all on cassettes. But they are presently being converted to MP3s by my son, Chad Widman, and I'd like to say thank you to him. We've been enjoying a lot of those reruns as of late, so thank you, Chad. And you can hear those old shows on Facebook and on YouTube. So now let's hear from my dad, Walter Eriksson. I'm going to play Shottes tillsammans, which means a schottish together. And it's with Bröderna Lindqvist, Kjell Wigren, and it was composed by Andrew Walter. We're all in this COVID-19 virus together. Eller hur?
En schottis är det bästa som finns här i världen. I bilar på färden och båtar på fjärden. Känner du dig dyster? Jag tror att det lyster att alla med vårt gäng i vår refräng. Nu tar vi väl oss en liten schottis tillsammans, jag och du, när vi nu får en chans till en dans. En schottis gör livet till en fröjd och en gammal när jag ser att du lever i en schottis-sväng. Det finns ingenting som ger så lust till att leva denna takt. Den har makt att ge kläm i vart hem. I dansen på banan och på logen i skogen. Ingenting ger så sving som en schottis-sväng. Drängar på ängar, gubbar på stubbar. Alla de tralla och skynda ta fatt. Jäntor och tanter på alla kanter. Framförs på stamp som en lördagsnatt. Nu tar vi väl oss en liten schottis tillsammans, jag och du, när vi nu får en chans till en dans. En schottis gör livet till en fest och en gammal när jag ser dig så nöjd i en schottis-fröjd. Nu tar vi väl oss en liten schottis tillsammans, jag och du, när vi nu får en chans till en dans. En schottis gör livet till en fröjd och en gammal när jag ser att du ler i en schottis-sväng. Det finns ingenting som ger så lust till att leva denna takt. Den har makt att ge kläm i vart hem. I dansen på banan och på logen i skogen. Ingenting ger så sving som en schottis-sväng. Drängar på ängar, dubbar på stubbar. Alla de tralla och skynda ta fatt. Jäntor och tanter på alla kanter. Trampars på stamp som en lördagsnatt. Nu tar vi väl oss en liten schottis tillsammans, jag och du, när vi nu får en chans till en dans. En schottis gör livet till en fest och en gammal när jag ser dig så nöjd i en schottisfröjd.
Thank you, boys. Schottis tillsammans. Now, around the year that my dad took over the program, 1987, there was a big hit in Sweden by Benny Andersson, one of the B's in ABBA. It's a birthday waltz to his wife, Mona. It actually was on the top 10 hit parade in Sweden. A folk dance has been choreographed to it, and many of you out there know it and ask for it many times. I'd like to dedicate this to the late, great guitarist Einar Eriksson. When we played it at the Norsk Høstfest out in North Dakota, we used to say that we were dedicating it to Einar because today is his birthday. And for the 4 days that we played on stage and roamed the halls of this enormous festival in Minot, North Dakota, people would stop Einar and wish him a happy birthday. And he even got some presents. And it really wasn't his birthday at all, but we got a big kick out of that because we had 8 shows in 4 days, so Einar was pretty popular. Anyway, here is Födelsedag Vals till Mona.
Tack så mycket.
Ja, tack så mycket själv, Benny Andersson. We still play that tune at every gig, I think. I just love Benny, and we'll hear from his big 16-piece band, Bow, again a little bit later in the program, Bow, Benny Andersson Orchestra. Now I'd like to remember a special Norwegian friend, Odd Tom Risdal from Øvrebø, Norway. That's about a half-hour drive north of Kristiansand. Odd Tom was an expert carpenter, singer, and radio personality who came to New York for a few years to work back in the 60s. He sang at many Norwegian dances and parties and recorded several sing-along in Norwegian albums with Walter Eriksson. He had a velvety, uplifting voice and a bubbly personality, and he won everybody's heart. He did eventually return to Norway and was a log cabin building instructor. He built himself his own big log cabin in Øvrebø and a few more on the property for his sons and their families. His wife Synnøve, an expert roofsmaler, did all the trim around all the windows and the cabinets in the house. If there's a House Beautiful magazine in Norway, this house should be in it. Odd Tom passed away on Christmas Day in 2005. He was only 71. But this one is for Uni, his granddaughter especially, our biggest fan in Norway, and her bestemor Synnøve. Here's Autumn Ristall with Den Lille Café, the Little Cafe.
Der på den lille kafé vi hadde vårt møtested. Der satt vi ofte og drømte om kjærlighet, lykke og fred. Der på den lille kafé vi satt i ømtet av te. Vi glemte verden omkring oss, vi to var jo helt for oss selv. Men lykken skifter så brått, og livet ble grått og ensomt for meg. Den dagen du gikk din vei, langt bort ifra meg. Der på den lille kafé vi hadde vårt møtested. Der vil jeg sitte og vente på at du skal komme igjen. Det var på Capri jeg så henne komme. Det var på Capri jeg så hun forsvant. Det hele skjedde før natten var omme, før jeg fattet om synet var sant. Hun sto med ett som et fe ved min side, og hennes munn var en yndig rubin. Og med et smil lot hun stille meg vite at hun ønsket det samme som min. Himmelen hadde tent sin lykte, månen løste hjertet ut. Frøken, det er den jeg søkte, den jeg gitt har drømt ble min brud. Men hun fløy bort på usynlige vinger, og med et sukk sa jeg grunnen var den. Hun bar en glattring av gull på sin finger. Jeg tar aldri til Capri igjen. Men hun fløy bort på usynlige vinger, og med et sukk sa jeg grunnen var den. Hun bar en glattring av gull på sin finger. Jeg tar aldri til Capri igjen.
Mange takk, Autumn Ristall, accompanied by Walter Eriksson. You know, when he hung around with us, we called him Mr. Rice Pudding. Anyway, now it's time for something Finnish. And since this is the first program, it has to be Säkkijärven Polka, the most famous Finnish song, practically the second national anthem. Did you know that it actually has Finnish words? Wait till you hear this. The group is Kuumulus. Here is Säkkijärven Polka.
Kun Säkkijärvellä polkka se soi ja se piiettä vekkö paikalle noi myös vallesmanni ja maisteri, he polkan tahtiin hyppi. Käki se kukkui kuusikossa ja listi se lenteli leepiikossa ja piiatte heppele hormiossa Säkkijärven polkka. Hei! Hop, hop! Tule tyttöni höppele löihin, kun polkkani herkästi helkähtää. Heiluvat helmut ja vilkkuvat pöksyt ja antavat polkalle elämään. Tule tyttöni laattialleni, vannaksi piiaksi et sinä jää. Säkkijärvenen naapuri sai, mutta jäi toki sentään polkkaa. Kun Kurtula pelimani antaa tahtia, tanssissa on sitä vanhaa mahtia. Tauolla sitten otetaan sahtia Säkkijärven malliin. Polkkasi alkaa nostattaa, se jo vaaria kummasti naurattaa. Vielä kerran pelimani loikalkaa, Säkkijärven polkka. Tule tyttöni höppele löihin, kun polkkani herkästi helkähtää. Heiluvat helmut ja vilkkuvat pöksyt ja antavat polkalle elämää. Tule tyttöni laattialleni, vannaksi piiaksi et sinä jää. Säkkijärvenen naapurit sai, mutta jäi toki sentään polkka.
Kurtula pelimani antaa tahtia, tanssissa on sitä vanhaa mahtia. Tauolla sitten otetaan sahtia Säkkijärven malliin.
Käki se kukkui kuusi kuusikossa ja lesti se lenteli leepikossa ja piiat hyppäli hurmiossa Säkkijärven polpoppa. Käkisen kukkui kuusikossa ja lesti se lenteli leepikossa ja piiat hyppäli hurmiossa Säkkijärven polpoppa.
Kiitos, kiitos Palja. I saw you dancing around to that one because I was. Next up, the beloved troubadour, singer, artist, painter, poet, musician, composer Evert Taube. He wrote so many tunes, and all ages learned his songs and loved them. One of my very favorites is Så skimrande var aldrig havet. And here it is, sung a cappella by the real group. The words translated are so romantic. So shimmering was never the sea, and the beach never so free. The fields, meadows, and trees never so beautiful, and the flowers never smelled so sweet. When you walked by my side toward the sunset, the wonderful evening, when your curls hid me from the world, while you drowned all of my sorrows, älskling, darling, I din första kyss, in your first kiss. Så skimrande var aldrig havet. Tack så mycket, Sweden's Evert Taube and the real group. Now let's go back to Norway and let's hear a waltz called Trønderbrødre. It's a Norwegian wedding waltz sung by Gudny Dalen. Let's make a ring around the newlywed lucky bridal couple. Gudny is retired and lives in Telemark, Norway, playing her trekkspel. We met her out in North Dakota at the Høstfest a few years ago. Very talented, very nice, and a very vänlig dam. Here is Gudny Dalen with Trønderbrødre.
Du står där som brud i blonder och skrud. Jag fylles med vemod och sand. Med liljekonvaler i din bukett. Du ter dig så yndig och nätt. Du takker din far för tiden som var. Klemmen jag fick var ett svar. När jag ser dig då kan jag förstå att hjemme blir tomt när du drar. Så danser hun sin brune vals med armar lykkelig brudepar.
Thank you, Gudny. Mange tusen tack. Now let's go to Denmark, home of Tivoli Gardens and The Little Mermaid and so much more. This song is called Forelska I København, In Love in Copenhagen by Christian and Jesper. Maybe it's Jesper, probably. This tune is from a 1960 movie of the same title, a Danish romance film. Such a pretty melody. By the way, did you know that Tivoli spelled backwards is I love it? Forelska i Köpenhamn, in love in Copenhagen. Den er god. So I don't know about you, but I need to hear some fiddles. One of my favorites, and I know it's the favorite of many of you out there, here is Fiolen Min, My Fiddle, played by the awesome group from Orsa, Sweden, Orsa Spelmän. Fiolen Min, that song is Forever. Together with Smörgåsbandet, our band, we traveled all over Sweden last summer and had the pleasure of visiting Orsa in the province of Dalarna. We played at a day-long jam session in downtown Orsa called Orsa Iran. I hope I'm saying that right. Orsa Iran. It was absolutely nuts, with lots of people, lots of musicians playing at the same time, moving from location to location and ending up in the evening at the Acropolis restaurant. So I'd like to say thank you so much for arranging this, Jocke and Åsa Arvidsson, and a shout out to Bengt Eriksson. We want to go back there really bad. That was a crazy, crazy time. So much fun. We were in Stockholm before that, had fun at Allsång på Skansen, and I really hope that that's happening this season. After Orsa, we went to Värmland and visited with Bengt and Gunilla Hedman and friends, and even some of my relatives from Åland were there. And then we went to Dalsland, and we met up with Niklas Sundin and friends. And then we drove back across to the East Coast to Linköping, where we were in the audience of the BAO, Benny Andersson Orchestra. That's what that stands for, BAO. The outdoor concert with thousands of fans. This was an absolute highlight for me, a dream come true, actually. I've been following BAO since they started in 2001. So here is Benny Andersson. It's a gunglåt. It's called Gladan, and it's about a bird. So I dedicate this one to my kids. We've all become bird watchers during this corona pause. Here is Gladan. That was Gladan. I don't know about you, but I was singing and clapping along. Thanks, Benny. Du är toppen. The last tune for this first Scandinavian Echoes podcast is the best tune, I think, that my father, Walt Eriksson, wrote about his beloved hometown, Brooklyn. Thanks for tuning in to the new Scandinavian Echoes show, which will feature old and new. Contact me at scandechoes@gmail.com. That's SCAND echoes@gmail.com. Or find us on Scandinavian Echoes Facebook page or leave a comment below. I'd like to say thank you to Wayne and Chad for helping me get this started. Be well, everyone. Be safe. Here's Brooklyn Memories. Hej så länge. Or as Hans Berggren used to say, so long.